Tina, and I'm here to talk to you today about groupthink and how people fall so easily into theirs. Um, a little bit about groupthink, a few major points to watch for. Group members all fall into this, whether they're agreeing or disagreeing. Group members give no real thought into the answer. They usually just go with what the leader puts out, whether it's the right or wrong decision. Usually people just run with it because he seems smart or he's in a spot of power, so they just agree with him. Group members fall into group cohesiveness. Again, that's where each group member discusses among themselves, but it still falls into the theory of groupthink where let's just go with John's answer because it seems right, or maybe Susie likes John more than me, so I'll just agree with him, and maybe she'll like me more. Group members also have a devil's advocate player coming in, whether it's the leader itself or maybe another group member. This is kind of the wolf in sheep's clothing talk, and then also the illusion of anonymity, not seeing it right away, where most group members, before they even realize that they're falling into it, they usually have it happen. Okay. A few major player in the Iraq War was groupthink with the Presidential Committee. There were a core group of members. VP at the time was Dick Cheney, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of State Colin Powell, NSC Advisor Condoleezza Rice, Deputy Secretary of Defense Paul Wolfowitz, Undersecretary of Defense Policy Douglas Feith, David Wurzmer, who served as Special Assistant in the State Department, and later as Cheney's Middle East Advisor, Richard Pearl and Kenneth Adalman on the Defense Policy Board, Bill Luty and Abby Shulesky at the Office of Special Plans, OSP, and CIA Director at the time, George Bennett, cited Beatty, page 282. So we see how each member had a role in the decision-making process all the way up from Presidential Bush all the way down to the leader of the CIA. Together, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld drove the policy as acting promotional leaders for war. They influenced a lot of the group members in the cabinet. Through the groupthink process, members of the administration began internalizing the perception of an elevated threat posed by Saddam Hussein, following some of groupthink sentiments, especially those resulting in evaluating problems. Again, we see that Iraq War was just more or less just, we're going to go to war, we haven't really given any thought of who attacked us, let's just do it and get it done. This is especially evidenced by Powell's conformity and apparent confidence in the intelligence, which came long after the announcement of the Bush Doctrine and pressures from the President and other members of the decision. Page 283 by Beatty. Two factors led members of the crew group to unanimously accept the Bush Doctrine, internalized by the Hawks and not challenged by Powell. First, increased cohesiveness among the Hawks following the trauma of 9/11 contributed to acceptance of board retaliation. Foreign policy that predated 9/11 created horizontal pressures that made the board retaliation seem to be very ineffective strategy. In the wake of 9/11, Feith posted notes of the core group looked back on the first Gulf War and drew lessons that the president should not declare war and later limit his options. And again, we see that George Bush just pretty much just signed the bill, let's go to war, not really any thought behind it, let's just do this. I cited Feith 2008, page 10. Second was the lack of debate on the premise of board retaliation provoked by Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. Promotional leadership made wide military retribution the dominant. Okay, and the next member here is again the group cohesiveness. As I mentioned, the group members, you see just how they fell into it, along with the President, Bush, the VP, Cheney, and Condoleezza Rice as the kind of playing the devil's advocate. This concept is prevalent in the way that information was passed down to the President. This happened when the misuse of information happened during the pre-stages of going to war. A lot of documents were hidden and nothing was really said about it until after. There was a feeling on the part of some individuals in the administration that information was being politicized. This is best reflecting in the Downing Street memo, which reported the understanding of the head of the British intelligence after talking with Tenet and others that intelligence was being fixed around policy. Cited Donner, 2005. And putting the intelligence together to make a case against the Iraq War in front of the UN, Powell's aide Wilkerson authored the quote, "What we are all involved in groupthink isn't the right word. It was a process of putting the data to the points in the street rather than challenging the data itself," cited Dion 2006, page 445. So you will see here where each member kind of realized what had happened afterwards, and just kind of realized we kind of made a mistake in just going to war, not really looking at it, and just seeing what had happened from that. Also, delusion of anonymity, again, is just something that it may look good on paper where each group member is saying, let's just go to war, not really looking at what is going to happen afterwards. The reason why this became known as the second Persian Gulf War is because the first Persian Gulf War ended in roughly 2 to 3 years with little casualties. They kind of based that off of this war, to go to war, just thinking, oh, that first one wasn't as bad, so this one shouldn't be near as bad, just because we have an idea of what's going to happen or on how it's going to go. And then in the end, roughly we've seen 39,000 soldiers that died in this war, and also on the Iraqi side, there was just mounting casualties, and nobody really wanted to take acceptance of it. The National Intelligence Agency estimated in 2002 was based more on opinion than facts. It overstated the case for war and was not based on good intelligence. Going back to this report was devastating. The heirs of misrepresentation were all in favor of making the case for war. It seemed that it was designed to sell the war, cited Riggs 2007, page 53. And its pre-war planning pillar, cited 2005, page 18, argues that Bush's administration used intelligence not to inform decision-making, but to justify a decision already made, cited page 291. So that was the case study findings. We see that the individuals that looked at that, the reporters just brought every aspect into it and looked at every member as a way of just seeing how each member fell in the groupthink, and we see it as no matter whether it was the president at the top of the food chain or at the CIA director at the bottom, that each member just kind of fell into this and just ran with it, and each cabinet member just slowly but surely fell to just agreeing with what the other one said, all the way up from Condoleezza Rice just telling members of the cabinet the president really doesn't like going against him, disagreement amongst his members. Let's just agree with it and make us all look good, and then we'll be heroes to the American people. But in the end, it really showed how groupthink is devastating to a group topic, or even just in society, where every member just runs with what they think is right, even though they have no idea what's really going on behind it. In conclusion, we see that the Iraq War was just a long, drawn-out war that was really unnecessary, because we really didn't know who we were going after. First it was Saddam Hussein, then later we found out it was Osama bin Laden, and just in search of him, just trying to find him, just really drawing it out. And again, people just kind of went with it at first after September 11th. I think 8 days after we were attacked, we decided we were going to war, not really going into the proper protocol of where to look, where to start. And the Iraqi people really didn't know what was going on at first, just rather than America was invading the country and didn't really give any idea of what was happening. So the findings I came to the realization were no matter the age, status, or maturity level, all members of the group were affected by groupthink. Each group that was observed, whether it was college kids or members of the United States government, everyone fell into the groupthink trap. All members followed, gave perfect textbook examples, as we've seen, with the president just being the leader, and then his core group of members falling into it, which made it easy to see how the members were affected. Also looked at a few articles regarding the way people made remarks about the way people talk, whether it was just the way that they were politeness or more of an ignorant term. What I mean is some members spoke to one another with a polite and affectionate voice to see if it changed the way members fell in the groupthink. Although members did not change the way they fell in the groupthink, rather just members seemed confused on what was going on, just as to why did he change the way he talked to us, just in the fact that a way of his tone. So, and there's my reference page, and thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.